Good morning, good morning. It's sprayer demo day here. We're gonna have some fun. So if you missed the end of yesterday's video, we have a John Deere 616R See and Spray machine here today that my John Deere dealer is letting us demo, and we're gonna get her figured out here this morning and ready to go. We are loading up the sprayer. This little knife in here works pretty good for opening AMS bags. Alright, so we've gone over some of the stuff here. We're getting it filled up, still using all our normal systems for doing so. I may have not supposed to dump 5 bags of AMS in there at once without letting it empty out first, but it's sucking it in. We'll give it a little more agitation if we need to. Letting this get in, and then we're going to dump in our clethodim and then Liberty and glyphosate. So we're going to fill this thing up, put a full 1,600 gallons in, and go to the field and see how it works. Now we're in the way. It's all right, well, we won't take long to get loaded up here. So sucking our Liberty into the tank. We got 700 gallons or so. Dang, this thing is going to be cool, man. So we're going to load it up a full tank load, and we're spraying Liberty, glyphosate, clethodim, and we're going to go up to some fields where we got a lot of acres in one spot. We'll see how far we make it. It's enough to spray 80 acres, but with the See and Spray, we may cover 200. I don't know. So this sprayer's got the keypad here, which I know most sprayers have had, but ours does not. So it's counting. It's got an actual flow meter, or maybe it's a tank float. I don't know, something to tell me how much is in the tank. But there is also a sight gauge, so we're kind of watching both of them here. All right, we have finally made the perimeter around this field, which was a little weedy, so we sprayed a lot of it, especially on the outside. But now you can see it working, and it's cool. And you can see on here all the sections as they turn on and off. Seein Sprayin. So we're just kind of starting through the middle of the field here. The monitors are familiar to me, but there's a lot of new stuff that I don't really know what all exactly it does right now. So we're figuring it out, but it's working. All right, so we are in the sprayer here. I've got Mitch with me. Mitch is the Green Mark sprayer specialist.
Yep,
John Deere sprayer
product specialist.
Pro sprayer product specialist. There you go. So he can tell us a little bit more about Seein Spray, and like, can you give me a high level overview of what Seein Spray is and why we would want to use it?
Yeah, so Seein Spray is perfect for chemistry savings and some agronomy aspects as well. So Seein Spray pretty much is a bunch of different BPUs and cameras on the top of the boom, locating when a weed is being detected and spraying based off of when that weed is being detected. So rather than going through a field and broadcast spraying, you can save some chemistry, save some plant metabolization, and spot spray where those weeds are rather than going across with a broadcast.
Right. So we're gonna cover a lot more acres on a tank fill because we're not spraying every square inch of the field, right? We're only spraying where the weeds are.
Correct.
And this has a lot of benefits. The obvious one is the chemical savings, and I've talked about that a little bit, and the fact that you're saving some chemical. Is the chemicals that we're saving cost effective for what it costs for the sprayer and stuff? That's a debate we can have some other time. But there are some other benefits. Where are we going here? Sorry, I got to drive too. If I turned on the auto turn, then I wouldn't have to do that. We got it. But some of the other benefits that you don't think about right off the top of your head is exactly that, metabolizing the chemical, right? Because while we have Liberty-resistant soybeans out here, and Enlist soybeans that are designed and engineered to not die from those herbicides, they still have to metabolize it.
Correct.
It still is causing a response in that plant, even if it doesn't actually kill it. And so is that wasting energy that plant could be devoting to either growing vegetatively, to flowering and putting pods on? I'll be curious to see if we it'd be a really hard thing to test, right? But it'd be interesting to see how much of a difference that makes in yield and how much response we're getting from not actually putting herbicide on plants that don't need herbicide on them. So
So it's an average three bushel an acre yield right now on average. I'm assuming a lot of that has to do with the plant metabolization, but I guess you cannot. There's no tangible way of measuring that.
Right, because if you got weeds, you got to spray the weeds. Otherwise, you're going to lose yield from that. And so having a plot where you say, "Well, I'm just not going to spray that," well, that doesn't work. It's not a fair comparison. So unless somebody wants to get their hoe out and hoe a bunch of beans like they used to do 50 years ago, we aren't going to be able to really test that super easily, at least not on our phone. So, all right, I'm going to show you something else really cool on this. So this is more exact apply technology than Seein Spray, but we got a little waterway here, and I have it mapped. And normally we have to go around this because I can't just turn off the individual nozzles on my boom, but check it out. We're going right over the top of that. It's spraying right up to the edge of it and not actually spraying my grass there. And I think that is a really cool thing that just an exact apply sprayer would get us. And then as we get out of it here, you can see all those nozzles turn back on and then start pulsing with weed pressure. That's cool. I like that. All right, so I have another question. This number here is counting my acres in the field.
Correct.
Oop, not that one. Is that counting total acres that we've covered or acres that are sprayed?
That is, if you click into it.
Oh, here we go.
See, yep, work totals, and you can also see what you're saving. So far you've saved 50%. So 50% has been sprayed of the total.
Of the 59 acres, we've sprayed 55% of it. And that number is going to drop as we're no longer on the headlands here and kind of getting away from the heavy weed pressure stuff. So that's pretty cool. Here we go. Area worked, 60 acres. Area remaining, 80. Area applied, 26. That's really cool. And you can really see at any given time, less than half the boom is actually spraying for the most part. Sometimes more, sometimes less. All right, so we know that we're only spraying 40, 50% of this field right now. And he just brought up a good point here is, so I mix up loads, I mix up enough to do 80 acres or 60 acres or 100 acres or whatever it is. If I don't know how many acres I'm gonna spray on a tank, how do we figure that out?
So you have to go through a pass in order to figure it out. Okay. But the cool thing about Seein Spray is once you go through that field, it will immediately generate a weed pressure map. So pretty much you can use it as reference for the next year. First year you might not be able to accurately tell, but for the next year you can look at your weed distribution map and tell, hey, I need to put this much product in based off of the percentage of weed that was in the map.
How consistent in general, and maybe you don't even know the answer to this, but how consistent is weed pressure in a given operation, you know, same pre-emerge and stuff, from field to field? Like, because we've got 1,500 acres of soybeans or whatever that number is, and by the time I sprayed 1,000 acres of it, I probably got a pretty good idea, right? Yeah. Is it going to change? Does it change much by field? I wouldn't think so.
Not necessarily. I guess every field differs, but for the most part, that weed pressure stays pretty consistent throughout the fields that are recognized. And it's also based off of your sensitivity as well. If you have it on a lower sensitivity, you're going to get a little bit lower of a weed pressure percentage throughout your map as well.
Sure. So I think that would give you a pretty good idea before you're loading up that last load of what you're spraying on soybeans post or whatever you're spraying, Seein Spray. You'd at least have a pretty good feel for what you're going to need. And the other thing is the mix that's in our tank here isn't something that we can't broadcast spray. It's not any different than what Dad's spraying, other than we left the dual out of this one. And so if you got to the end and you had 200 gallons left in your tank and you knew you had however many acres left, you could just set it to broadcast it to use up what's in your tank and not Seein Spray that last little bit to make it come out even.
You could also, if you're running very tight, you can pull water from your water tank in and use that as a little bit of an extra potent to get the rest of that chemical out.
Stuff. Yeah, okay. That's cool. Yeah, we're going to keep marching across this field here and see how many acres we get on an 80-acre tank load, which is a weird thing to say, but that's what it's going to be. I am also noticing that when Dad sprayed this field with the pre-emerge, He did it on 118.75 feet spacings because we started together, and his tracks are over there now and mine are over here. So I've set ours for 120. I think this sprayer actually has an extra nozzle compared to ours. So the 4930, it's 15-inch nozzle spacings, and it's actually one nozzle short of being a full 120, so you kind of rely on some of that overlap. This one, it said the track spacing is 121.25 or 375 or something, whatever it is. So I think we got an extra nozzle here, an extra 15 inches of coverage. We do have these cameras up here. Those are part of the system. They're not an add-on apparently, so they're mounted. I don't know where they're at. Somewhere out there, there's a camera looking forward, and you can kind of see. We've got a bunch of cameras elsewhere. Let's see, somewhere I can go find those. Applications, video. So there's one looking back to the right, back to the left, and then this one comes up when you're on the road for reverse. So you can see traffic and stuff coming behind you. That's pretty nice to have there. All right, one thing I wanted to look at here, you can actually go into this menu and we can click on one of these modules and we can see the camera view and see what the camera sees. Now we're moving very fast, so I don't even know if my camera will pick it up, but every now and then you'll see some blue flash. The blue is the weeds. That's what it's seeing and actually spraying. The green is the soybeans. You can kind of see how those rows move across. That's because we're spraying on an angle, or the beans are planted on an angle from straight. There was the blue, there was some. So you can see what the cameras see. But we're moving pretty quick. We're speed limited at 15 miles an hour, and we're doing it. That's what we've got, but that's fast enough for what we're doing. So we do have a spot back here where there's a little bit of muck, some high organic matter soils that grows really good giant ragweed. Well, we're gonna spray a lot of this. Yeah, so you're gonna see oh my gosh, that's about the third time I have done that. I turn this master switch off when I come into the headland, and then I forget to turn it back on because I'm thinking I just got it on section control. That's operator error is what that is. We'll fix it right here. You have to push the little yellow button, or don't push the little yellow button. If you push it, you gotta push it again. Anyway, yeah, see, we're gonna spray most of this because it's all weeds right there. And then as we get out of it, it'll start to spray less and less. There you go. And we're even over a waterway again where it's shutting off for that. I like that. All right, guys, we have sprayed this entire field. It says 135.5 acres. I'm gonna look at the map to make sure I didn't miss something because I thought there was a few more than that, but we still have 721 gallons in our tank. We sprayed 135 acres. Let's see, what's the map look like? Oh, look at that one. That's really cool. So this is the application map of where it sprayed and where it didn't. Right, and you can see where we had those giant ragweeds back here. It sprayed everything, but out here in the middle of the field, very little, and that's pretty cool. I don't think I can zoom in. Oh yeah, I can. Like, wow. All right, let's go back to this and let's cycle through. And oh, there's the weed pressure map. Oh, these are cool. Pressure, rate, weed pressure. The red areas were much worse. End rows and muck pockets. Electric poles. And there's the coverage. We covered the whole field, so we're good. Oh, there's coverage. All right, we're gonna go to the next field. You know what I can tell you already? I'm gonna try and get Dad to run this, but Dad complains all the time about how stiff he gets sitting in the sprayer all day. He's gonna hate this. He's never gonna be able to get out and load the sprayer. He's gonna hate it. All right, well, we're folding up here. We're just going across the road, but we got to get down the road. 10th of a mile, so. It folds different than ours. It doesn't have the one that goes over the top, so we won't hit the electric poles quite as much.
How would you rate the speed of folding compared to yours?
It's a little bit faster, but it's a lot smoother. Like, I don't have to sit here and feather the button back and forth to keep it from slamming into stuff, so. That's really nice. And it goes down on its own. On mine, once I get it folded in, I have to let off the foot pedal and then lower the whole boom, where this just does it all. and then it tells you when it's done. So, cool. All right, we have moved on to the next field. And this one here is kind of a pain in the butt just for getting started purposes, because you see this row of electric poles? This row of electric poles that 2.5 years ago when we had an ice storm, every single one of them broke off and was laying in the field. And at that time, we should have moved them out to the road, but no, we can't do that. Just put new poles in where the old ones were. They're like 58 feet off the road, or 50 to 60, something like that. And that's a real pain with 120-foot sprayer booms. So, we're going to put this giant 616R sprayer into baby mode and just leave the wingtips folded up and see if we can't sneak between the poles in the road here. Our section control should shut off anything in the ditch, so, you know, it won't spray out if we hang a boom over into the road too much. I think this will work, but 120 foot would put our sprayer directly in the middle of the poles, and that's a giant pain in the butt. So we're gonna try this, see how it goes. Well, we made it around our electric poles over there, and now we've perimetered the field. This field seems to have a little more weed pressure. I don't know, we seem to be spraying a lot. Actually, we can see that. Let's go in and look. Savings, 37% versus 45 or 55% on that first field, I guess it was. I will have to go back and look at that one and see what it ended up at. We can do that later, but let's see, right here, yeah, we've covered 48 acres and sprayed 30 of it, so that's pretty good. We're down to about 100 gallons left in our tank. We shouldn't get this one done. I just saw Dad go back to the farm. I'm hoping that we can get done and get back there before he leaves, and I can make him spray with a load with this. That would be good. All right, we are empty. So we sprayed 60 acres in this field, plus 135 in the other one. What's that? 215? 215 acres on 80 acres worth of chemicals. That's that right? Am I math right there? 135 plus 60. No, that's 195.
195, yeah.
Still, 195. Oop, I forgot. 195 acres on 80 acres worth of chemical. That's pretty impressive. So we're going to head back. We're going to load another one up. I'm going to try really hard to get Dad to run it. I don't know if he'll do it or not, but we've got the rest of this field and then 2 more right over there that are all going to wheat, getting the same thing, and it would be great to do. So it works. It works really well. Loading up again. Same mix, same volume, all of it. Dad's sitting here. I don't know. He must not have got loaded, which is fine. We'll let him do this. I'll get the cameras out and maybe the drone, and we'll try and get some video of it. Well, I couldn't get Dad to drive it. I almost had him talked into it, but he said no. So I guess I will. I might have Mitch make a round or two here, because I brought the drone. We can get some video, and you know, that'll be cool. So we adjusted the sensitivity a lot. It was spraying a lot, like most of the time, and it doesn't look weedy out here. There is some grass, and you can see some stuff here and there, but it felt like it was spraying a little bit more. So there's a sensitivity adjustment that we have up here that we can kind of dial that in a little bit. I don't know if the angle of the sunlight, what exactly would change that or cause it to read things a little bit different throughout the day, but something. Another thing that we've kind of been watching for but really haven't seen is the dust. So we're starting to see a little dust. You can see it in our mirror behind us, and that can confuse the cameras, I guess, that are in the center section behind the tires, but it hasn't gone into fallback mode because of that, so I think we're okay there yet. I know on the 27 and newer sprayers, they have moved the cameras to the front, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
so that should solve that issue. We're going to try and get this drone airborne. It probably has too much metal there. I won't be able to do it. We'll have to set it on the ground, but see what we can do here. It did let me take off there, so Mitch is going to drive for us while I fly for a round. got that second field done. There was 128 acres in it, so we've moved on. We're right next door. We got 60 acres here. It's a little bit triangular shaped, kind of like that. Seems to be lower weed pressure here over, the center part of the field. We can see more pulsing on and off. So I don't know why our pressure was higher on that last field that we were in, but it seemed to be. So about 600 gallons left in the tank. I think that'll finish this field. Depends on how bad the weeds are, I guess. So what do we got done? 27 acres. Yeah, we should finish this field no problem. And then we're going to jump right across the road. We've got another 65 acres over there, and we'll see how far we make it. So this is pretty cool to watch. We are running pretty high pressure. I noticed we're running 80, 90 pounds of pressure, which is way higher than what I would normally run at. I think that's a function of me going a little bit faster than maybe the last people have been running, and we're running 20 gallons to the acre because it's Liberty. So we're running high volume at a high speed. That's a lot of product that's got to go through the small tip fast. We should probably have a size bigger tip in there to keep our pressure down, something more reasonable, or I should slow down. But what's the fun in that? I can pretty reasonably confidently say that we have never had two big sprayers running on our farm at the same time. There's Dad across the road doing some beans, so that's pretty cool. This field does have a couple small muck pockets. You can see our beans are yellow. We need to get over here with the drone and spray some manganese on them. A bunch of ragweeds coming through, but we're taking care of those right now, so should be good for a while before we would have to come back with any herbicide through the drone. But we do need some manganese just in these yellow pockets here. The boys say we should buy it. What?
It's 750,000.
750,000? Probably pretty close. Okay, we're gonna do one more load with this sprayer, and I'm trying to figure out how many acres I've got left to do that's going to wheat, with out the dual in it, no residual. I think we're gonna mix up another full one. We've got about 150 acres to spray yet, and we probably won't need a full sprayer load, but it would be close, and I don't really want to run short, so we'll see. Dad said he's got 30 acres to spray yet. Maybe I'll tell him to wait, because I could spray that if we have a little extra. So yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's get her loaded up. This thing sucks the AMS in pretty good too. That's 5 bags. I just set them on the spike and they pour in. Use the swirly nozzle to kind of agitate it and then shut that off and let it suck it in. And it works pretty darn good. It's a little slower sucking this in. I don't know if I let it clean out after every one, it would go a little faster or not, but I don't know. It works. I'm going to rinse it with the top rinse nozzle. Not bad. Alright, we'll get our clethodim put in. Still haven't had to go to the ER. Used up a total Liberty pretty quickly. That's alright, and our glyphosate. Well, we had enough. Alright, we got refilled and we're down the road, just down the road from the farm. We'll go back and finish the field we ran out in a little bit, but I wanted to do this one because it's kind of the farther one, or not farther away, but yeah. The other ones are all on the way to each other, so. It's still Seein Sprayin and doing its thing. We're spraying more percentage of the fields than I thought we might on some of this stuff, but this field's had more weeds in it than some of the other ones have, so. It's still doing its thing. I couldn't get Dad to drive, but I got him to ride at least, so that's good. Alright, I dropped Dad off back at the farm when we were driving past there, and we're finishing the field where we ran out earlier. Let's get out and walk around here just a little bit. We really haven't even shown this thing with the boom unfolded. I need a picture. Dang, it's pretty cool. It is pretty dang neat. So, looking at our ground, you can see here, like, look, there's no weeds here, right? Nothing. Nothing. Oh, there's one. And there's one. And there's some grass. And there's a grass. And so that's what this technology is doing. It's not spraying where we don't have stuff, and it is where we do, and it's really cool. I'll have to look at our stats when we're done for the day, but I would say we're averaging close to 50% on our chemical. That's pretty good. So you can see the cameras right here. looking down in front, and the reaction time is mind-boggling, frankly. That's the boom track sensor. I didn't know if it would react if I put my hand under there or not. So we do have a fence row nozzle out here on the end, one to spray outside if you're along a fence row or some trees or something and you want to get a little extra coverage out there, especially if you just have like 2,4-D in, you're not going to kill all the grass. But yeah, there is a lot to this boom. You know, I don't know what these aluminum blocks here are for. Just brackets to hold everything, I guess. And then we've got our turrets for the exact apply. One thing that I didn't realize, and I don't really like all that much, is that you don't get turn compensation or curve compensation with See in Spray. You got to be running it in broadcast mode for that, which would be fine because, you know, a lot of what we're going to do is going to be in broadcast mode if we were to have one of these sprayers. So you don't have it for this pass and whatever. It's not the end of the world. I don't have it now. Got some airbags for cushioning for the rocking of the boom, I think is what that's for. And yeah, there's a lot to this. A lot of electronics and wires and all that stuff, which you have to have, right? For processors and all the stuff. Some lights there. I don't know if those are blue lights. I don't know if this has, I don't see anything underneath. I don't know if this has the blue spray lights or not. I don't think that's it, but I could be wrong. Okay, we've got this one done. We still have 692 gallons in our tank, and we've got 72 acres to spray. We'll see if that works out or not. I put a GoPro out on that boom, which was hard to do, by the way. These booms are made out of carbon fiber, and carbon fiber happens to not be magnetic, so finding somewhere to attach a camera took a little bit of time, but on the hinges, there's some metal plates that it barely fit on, so I need to go retrieve it. We got a power ladder. Oh, she's a little, we can call a little herbicide. Hi. this last field that we're doing here, or well, maybe our last field, we'll see. Last field that I had planned on doing, we're kind of off of our normal beaten path. I haven't been by this field since we planted it, and there's a lot of volunteer corn out here. And that makes sense because I remember back to this field and we had a lot of downed corn out here that was hard to harvest. And so I'm not surprised to see a bunch of volunteer corn. It's super frustrating, but yeah, this was a hybrid that we don't plant anymore because of what happened in this field with it. So what we're spraying should clean it up and it should be fine. But yeah, there's a fair bit of that out here. I don't see much else. It's mostly just volunteer corn, but there's significant amount of it, so happens, I guess. So the other day when I was showing those new farms that we picked up that had all that volunteer corn in it, like, yeah, it's not ideal, but it does happen, and I am not immune from it. I wasn't trying to insinuate that anybody did anything wrong, but there was a bunch in those fields too. Okay, well, we are done here. That went pretty well. This field's got some wet spots, far wetter than anywhere else. We're like 7 miles from the farm. I wonder if we had more rain here over the weekend or whatever that was, because there was a couple of spots that made me a little bit nervous. I'm not gonna lie, but we made it. Didn't get stuck. Bigger savings on this one. 69% of the field savings. That's pretty good. Problem with that is I still have 250 gallons in my tank. So we're gonna finish up those fields that Dad was kind of. Well, he ran out and he didn't get them done, so I'm gonna go finish filling them or finish spraying them. I'm curious to see if I'll be able to pull coverage map from his sprayer into here so that I know where he is. I can look at it on my phone if I have to, but if I could pull his, that would be helpful. All right, these are our 30-inch rows. This is where we're gonna irrigate. These beans look great. They look really good. They've got some size to them. I'm really happy. There's not a lot of weeds out here, but there are a few, so we're gonna Seein Spray. Look at that, it's off most of the time. That is cool. This is where the Seein Spray is gonna shine. I bet our savings are close to 80% or more in this field. And we aren't gonna do much. We're just doing this little triangle. I show you on my phone, but I can't real easily. Dad sprayed most of this. I could not get the coverage map to load, but I do know that this is the first pass that needed sprayed. And we can turn on our headland management system. Or headland, yeah, management for the section control. So when we cross that yellow line, it's going to shut the sprayer off. Basically, it's the how you plant the field and then plant the end rows last thing. But we're using it on the sprayer, and that will keep us from overlapping. Because Dad already perimetered this field, so he's already sprayed the ends, just broadcast blanket applied them. So we don't need to do it again, but we need to Seein Spray the middles. And we are running autopath out here as well, so. Yeah, this is crazy. Like, we barely need to be out here. Wow. It's gonna be really interesting to see. So, well, obviously we got this little side-by-side. It's not great, right? We're not spraying that much of this field, but it will be something. And we'll be able to tell later in the summer whether we have more weed pressure here or there where we sprayed. Now, we don't have the dual in here, right? So we're not putting that residual on that the rest of this field got. But if you're going to run Seein Spray, you're not going to run a residual most likely. This is cool. All right, so we sprayed 16 acres in this field. Basically this triangle minus the end rows. That one green spot right in the center of the screen there, yellow spot, that's where I started going too fast because I hadn't turned the speed down from going on the road yet, and so it just defaulted to on mode. But let's see what percentage of this field we sprayed, because I bet it's almost none. So if we click on the 16.41, we can see a nice savings where it's 93.58%. We only sprayed an acre and a half out of the 16.41. That's insane. There's nothing out here. There was no weeds. Oh man, that is cool. All right, we're gonna do this field. This is the field that Dad wanted me to spray with the drone because he didn't want to do it with the big sprayer. So I'm taking an even bigger sprayer through it, which seems like a poor choice on my part. I will admit that right away. But we got chemical left, and it'll kill the weeds that are out here, and we need to kill the weeds that are out here. It's pretty bad. We got this muck pocket here, which is why we don't like spraying it with the big sprayer and wanted to do it with the drone. I don't know if we'll get the whole thing or not. Depends on how bad the weed pressure is in the back, I guess. But we'll see, and we still may end up doing some of it with the drone. So We're gonna see how this goes. See how a big heavy sprayer floats in the muck. Probably not great. Ready? Go. It would appear there's some rain coming from the west here. We've had just a couple light sprinkles, nothing that's going to cause us any problems, but we definitely don't have a bright sunny day for spraying in Liberty, which is probably not great, but it's what I got, so we're doing it. I remember why we don't bring the big sprayer in this field. Yeah, that was a little bit scary. We made it. We made it through the one side. However, we have like 60 gallons left. There ain't no way we are going to spray this whole field, so we're going to make this last pass probably and call it good enough. I got the perimeter sprayed. That's the hardest part to do with the drones, so that's what we needed to get done. We'll go through this little spot and we'll see if it gets as bad. This is the better side of the muck hole. Yeah, this isn't bad at all. The other side we were like, well, falling in the hole and just, yeah, it was scary. All right, there's an application map for you. The back, the heavy ground, or the clay, crappy ground, no weeds. The muck, solid weeds. Yeah, we only had one round left, or not even that, pass and a half, but we are empty. So we are gonna head back to the farm. I'm debating whether I put just enough in here to do the rest of that and finish the other field that Dad had. He had like 20 acres in another field. That I could do. I should run some water through and rinse everything. I talked to the guy that's going to run it tomorrow, a buddy of mine, and he's going to spray non-GMO beans. And we can't have Liberty and glyphosate in the tank if he's going to spray non-GMO beans. So yeah, I'm sure he will do his own rinse, but we should probably run a rinse cycle at least and not let stuff sit in here overnight. All right, it is going to start raining on us here, so we are not going to spray another load. What we are going to do is rinse everything. So I put about 100 gallons of water in the bottom of the tank. We're going to spray that out, and I am filling the rinse tank. So back here, this black plastic one, you can see the sight gauge there. That is a rinse tank, and there's a whole rinse cycle that I'll go through, and it'll flush the lines and rinse the tank and all that stuff. So we're just going to fill that up and then go to the field, and you basically just spray it out, and it's mostly water, but we'll get any little chemical that's in there out. Okay, so we're in a field we already sprayed today, and we're just going to spray water out here. So I've switched this over to broadcast, and I think it will work. Let's get my guidance so we stay on the same tracks. It should be pretty close. Oh, turn the auto steer on. Turn a little bit closer to where we're going. There we go. Something's not right. Oh, I don't have the pump on. There we go. Okay, so now every nozzle is just on. We're still doing 20 gallons. And we're just going to spray until it's empty here. This won't take very long because of the volume that we're running. And then we'll run our rinse procedure. We're going to figure this out here. There's a rinse system, and then we can rinse the boom. We can rinse the tank transfer. I don't know what that means. Solution system, solution tank. We're going to do the solution system. We're going to let it do it twice, and we're going to go medium. I don't really know. I don't care. It's not going to hurt my crops. No, we'll do our best here. So it should be pulling water out of that freshwater tank that we just filled, pumping it through the sprayer to rinse everything through the agitation system. Oh yeah, it sure tells you everything here. We didn't use the adductor, so I don't really care about that. The agitation, bypass, solution tank, recirculation, plumbing, and then we'll spray that out, and then it'll do it again. There you can see it spraying stuff on our tank, and that's pretty white, so yeah, good thing to do. That's just a little foam on it. Some more water coming in. Okay, we'll let it do its thing until it tells us. Oh, now there's some nozzles on the top that are spraying the sides of the tank now. All right, so our 2 rinse cycles are complete. We sprayed out what we had until we ran empty. Now we're gonna run a boom air purge. So it's got air pressure behind it. I'm gonna hit the master, and it just blows all of the stuff that's in the boom out with air. And that's cool. And that's as clean as I'm gonna get it. I recommend that they run another rinse cycle or 2 in the morning. But, yeah, should be good for them. All right, well, we'll let her sit there. It's raining now. Well, we sprayed 772.5 acres today between the 2 of us. That's a pretty good day. All right, so I was looking through some of the numbers there today. We averaged 55.5 or 55.6% savings as far as acres applied versus acres covered. So Seein Spray technology works. The question becomes: is it worth the savings? You know, are you going to save enough money in chemicals to make it worth paying for the sprayer and the added costs and everything? And I have not done any research into what Seein Spray costs to add to a new sprayer, what a used Seein Spray sprayer costs versus a used just straight Exact Apply sprayer. I don't have that information, so I don't really know. I have heard that the puck kits, the product upgrade kit for sprayers, is roughly $30,000. I don't know if that's true or not. But, you know, there's obviously some cost there. And then there's the subscription. And they do that subscription. Subscription's not really the right word. But it costs $5 an acre for every acre that you don't spray, right? And so, like we have a 100-acre field. We don't spray 55% of it. That's 55 acres. It would cost 5 times 55 acres to run Seein Spray on those. Now that's for in-crop, you know, corn and soybeans and stuff. If you're fallow, it's different. There's different rates for different stuff. But so the benefit is that you save the chemical on all those acres. But Dad and I were just sitting in the office talking through some stuff and trying to add it up. Like, what is the chemical costing us? Well, for what we sprayed today, we sprayed glyphosate. We sprayed Liberty, generic glyphosate. We sprayed generic clethodim. We put in 3-ish pounds of AMS per acre. All of those things together were less than $10 an acre, like $9.60 an acre. So take $5 off of that, and even if you called it $10, you're saving $5. If we sprayed 1,500 acres of beans with it a year, that's $4,500. No, that's not even that, because you're saving it on half of your acres. Call it 50%. That's 750 acres times $5 in savings is like $3,750. It's going to take a long time to pay for a $30,000 option, saving less than $4,000 a year, right? So can we justify that? I don't know. I don't know that we can. Now, on the flip side of that, you throw Enlist in, like we did on a few fields here today. Enlist is like $12 an acre or something. I don't remember exactly. And so if you were spraying that on everything and you had to have a more potent post-emerge pass, well, okay. Now, if you're doing an Enlist plus anything else and you get up to $15 an acre, now you're saving $10 an acre after the subscription cost, and well, that's twice as fast of a payback period. So maybe then it does make sense. But for us here, we really haven't been using a lot of Enlist. I had a little bit of it on hand. That was actually left over from last year. We didn't buy any this year, but we didn't use it last year. And we kind of just used it this year to use it up. I don't know that we needed it. Now we'll see what we get for chemical performance over the next week or two here. It'll be interesting to see if the Liberty that Dad sprayed works well with not having ideal weather conditions for it. It'll be interesting to see if the Seein Spray holds the weeds all year. Did we miss any small ones that the cameras couldn't see? I don't know. We'll find those things out as the growing season progresses. But it worked. It's cool. It did its job. It is a pretty awesome piece of equipment. The boom track works really, really well. The Exact Apply, we didn't really get to play with the Exact Apply and the pulsing nozzles and the turn compensation or any of that kind of stuff today. However, I think that side of the technology is actually going to be probably more beneficial to us than anything, especially than the Seein Spray, because
when you spray around curves and especially top dressing wheat and different things like that would be very, very beneficial. The individual nozzle control, like all of those things, I think are a huge benefit. This carbon fiber boom worked really well. The boom track, the height sensors was way better than what our sprayer is. This machine is a lot quieter. It's smoother. The suspension on ours isn't bad. This one is really nice as well. I like the little computer that tells me how much is in the tank when you're loading. There's a lot to like about this sprayer. It was really, really nice. If I had a spare 800 grand sitting in my pocket, I'd probably buy one. But I don't. And I probably am not buying this sprayer. In fact, I'm guaranteeing you we're not buying this sprayer. Might we buy something similar? Yeah, maybe. But not this big, probably not this new. I do want to say thank you to Greenmark for giving me this demo. Like these have become semi-frequent for us, and I appreciate it. We had this today. We had the autonomous tillage tractor last fall. We had the X9 combine the year before, and I own none of those things yet. And so, they keep bringing me stuff, and I haven't bought much from them lately, but I appreciate it. I did get to demo a 24-row ExactEmerge planter probably 6-8 years ago, at least now. And we do own one of those. So demos do work, and sprayer is on our list, and so I appreciate it. But just getting to look at the technology and stuff was really awesome. So thank you to Mitch, who rode with me. Thanks for the input today. Thanks to Chad, salesman, and to the entire Greenmark organization for letting me demo that today. I very much appreciate it. Rylan would like to say hi.
Hi.
There you go. Anyway, we are going to head home for the day and see what we get for rain tonight. We'll see what's happening tomorrow. There are 10 acres across the road that Dad didn't get sprayed. He's got to finish up. We need to do some more drone spraying, so that is the plan when the weather allows. We'll finish that field that we were in, and then we've got some manganese to spray. We might do another a little bit more of that corn fungicide. We've got a few acres that didn't get sprayed yet, so probably could spend a solid day to 2 days doing some drone spraying. Do you need to be in it?
Yes, I need to be in it.
Is your brother here?
Nope.
He's at home?
Yep.
Okay, are you ready to go home?
Yep.
All right, guys, thanks for watching this one. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'm sure there's some stuff that I missed on the Seein Spray and that sprayer. I'll do the best I can to answer any questions that you guys might have. It was really cool. It was a good day. We covered a lot of ground. There's a lot of advantages to it that may not even show up in the cost savings aspect of it. And it's really hard to quantify that. Did we gain more beans because we didn't make the beans metabolize the chemical? I don't know. It's hard to answer that. How much is the productivity gains worth in being able to cover more ground faster? Dad and I both sprayed 3 loads today. And we covered 772 acres.
That's a lot.
He did about 235 of that. I did the other stuff. Now, my 3 loads were bigger, so it would have been like 4 loads with his sprayer, but he was also spraying 15 gallons the acre, and I was doing 20. So really, they were 80 acre loads for both of us. So yeah, we did well. It was a good day, and we'll see how tomorrow goes. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Like I said, make sure you thumbs up the video and give it a like. Rylan's got frosting all over his face from the donuts that my John Deere salesman brought me this morning. That was nice of him. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Bye.